This is pretty funny. This is a clip of Bernie and Cardi B. As I've said, I just simply don't buy being mad at Bernie. If you want to be mad at Bernie, the one thing that I think is valid to critique Bernie on is his role in the bailout, although his role in the bailout is still positive to basically anybody else in modern politics. But I certainly think he could have assembled, he could have used his email list to tell people to fight hard against the CARES Act. It's enormously damaging. That's a valid critique. Endorsing Joe Biden is something Bernie Sanders literally said hundreds of times he was going to do if he was not the Democratic nominee. And I have no problem with him not engaging in the theater of it all. I think, frankly, the reality that is, and again, this is where I sort of pivot between two positions. I don't see the justification for facilitating the reelection of Trump. Sorry. And at the same time, this is a defeat for left forces. This is not there. In some respects, the Democratic Party is moving backwards in terms of its policy set, outside of a couple of either state examples, which are slightly more significant, or marginal displays of sort of, posturing. Look at Medicare for All really quick. To the extent to which all of the people that co-sponsored Medicare for All with Bernie, who do not have strong support for Medicare for All, ranging from Elizabeth Warren to Kamala Harris to Cory Booker, not a single one. And I know some people will still be triggered by me putting Warren on that list. But again, let's just talk in terms of reality. Has she come out and said, in a time of pandemic, I'm going to renew my call for national health care? No. And neither of any of the rest of them, which I think we could quite easily suspect. So I think that Bernie is quite clear that he thinks Trump needs to be defeated. And I think that that's a totally honorable, expected, and transparent position. He will work on those policy councils. We'll see. I think, frankly, if I'm being blunt, they mean very little. And it still does not undermine the argument of defeating Trump. This is like, Mélenchon in response to the last election in France, of which he was a close third place finisher. What are you going to do in the general election? He said, I'm going to be voting, and I will not be voting for the fascist. Voting for Macron. So
vote for Macron, oppose him from day one. Vote for Biden, oppose him from day one.
And it's not that complicated. And I understand why that's very dissatisfying, because we're stuck in a dead history and repetitive cycle, but we have not invented something new. And again, we need to be real about the prospects.
We're not going to break that repetitive cycle by actions either way on election day.
That's exactly right. And so you do have to get back to the context of what you want to be fighting, what context you want to be fighting in. And I have been, all ears, frankly, for a compelling alternative argument to harm reduction, and I haven't heard it. This is not in any way to discount people's feelings, people's disgust, people's upset. And I think, we cannot do the same kind of like badgering about the Supreme Court sort of arguments. I won't be doing that. But I will be clear about harm reduction. I will be clear about the strategic context, and I won't indulge emotionalism either. So that's just me. This is Cardi B and Bernie Sanders. And this is very fun because, Cardi has a very astute analysis of Joe Biden's political history. And I like with Bernie here is just like, I know, but Jesus Christ. And let's check it out.
It also seems like she.
Well, I thought we had a time. We don't have a time code on this? Okay, let's go. I mean, this is honestly
you get laid
so
off
depressing.
from your job. We want to make sure you continue to get.
You only put one in.
I watched a decent amount of this last night. It was hilarious.
I couldn't watch it.
She clearly got into the sugar in her house. Let's just say that.
That would be a cool Zoom drink session. It's like, we're drinking hard cider in Burlington. Everybody's getting tipsy in their own way.
People are still running. And I heard that you are endorsing now Joe Biden. And, we're really now in the matrix. It's either Joe Biden or Trump. And one thing is, a lot of people like the youth, they don't really rock with Joe Biden because he's conservative. But the thing is that, I think Obama, right? I think Obama did like a smart move when he picked Joe Biden as his vice president, because that's how he got the conservative vote. And just because there's so many people that are liberal like me and are a little bit more open with things, a lot of these states are
Bernie's face.
So
I like how Bernie's just literally like,
Obama had
why are you better than my campaign staff? And maybe we're being a little too on the nose right now.
We're very excited to see that. I'm very excited. And I'm excited too that you are endorsing Joe Biden. And I will want you to tell my platform, why are you endorsing him? Like, why should we vote for him?
Well,
and how can we spread for us to vote for Joe Biden?
Okay. First point is that when I announced that.
All right. I don't want to hear it. We know why. This is a 5-minute conversation. But that's hilarious. Yo,
that is the best way to ask that question.
So much better. Yeah, that's the best way to answer.
So we all agree that Obama only picked Joe Biden because he wanted to appeal to conservatives. We all know we're behind the 8 ball now. Tell us now, Bernie, why we should be excited. Like, that is so funny.
That is perfect. Notice how she didn't start with like, Joe Biden could really be like the next FDR. Like, just cut the bullshit.
Right.
Get to what the actual reality is.
She's so good.
She knows what's up.